New year, a lot of different states have new weed laws that go into effect as the new year approaches. That's just how government works. Makes it easy. There's a few things here and there, and I'll just really quickly roll right down the list. Several new states. We're going to talk about Pennsylvania. Certain employers in the city of Pennsylvania will no longer be able to test applicants for marijuana as a condition of their employment. Employees in certain safety-sensitive positions, such as police officers and those who supervise children and medical patients, will be exempt from the policy, as will employees who are mandated to be drug tested under federal guidelines. And this is our article here.
Whether you use cannabis recreationally or medically, it will show up in a drug test, and that's why Philadephia acted. Since the so-called war on drugs back in the
Wait, whoa. Who the fuck? I love local news station like stock footage of marijuana because it's so outdated.
Cannabis is a unique product in a sense, unlike alcohol and others, it metabolizes in your system a lot differently. Those that really need medical marijuana, especially to improve their quality of life, shouldn't be restricted from getting a job, because that's what we all want to see.
Again, this ordinance only applies to employers in Philadephia. Local cannabis advocates here tell me they're evaluating to see whether to push this in Pittsburgh.
It is definitely a W. And while Pennsylvania is allowing people to have a little bit more freedom, a little less restrictions on the job, Louisiana is making it so that way it is a little bit easier to buy weed. Let's take a look.
A lot of thought, a lot of work, research, and also intentionality had to go into producing a flower market because of the negative connotation with cannabis in itself.
Dr. Shanda Macias is the CEO of Ilera Holistic Healthcare, which is Southern University's contracted grower and manufacturer of medical cannabis, more commonly known as medical marijuana. She stands firm that cannabis is not only a vastly untapped natural medication, but also a way to fight addiction. That message seems to be resonating. According to MJ Biz Daily, a national marijuana business trade publication, the number of patients getting medical marijuana in Louisiana has grown from over 2,000 to over 14,000 in just 2 years.
Oh, shit. Okay, so my figures are a little bit dated. I had the 2020 numbers. I don't know what they implemented where their medical marijuana just absolutely fucking crushed it. That is insane.
Omar Picante is the owner of Greenleaf Dispensary. Greenleaf, which is one of 9 medical marijuana pharmacies here in Louisiana, is where you will get flower.
Flower, that's the lowest cost because there's less manufacturing involved in refinement.
Yeah, and it also looks like shit. I'm sorry, but some people just don't grow good weed. And it's the reason why it's cheap weed is because it's just not going to be greatest quality. It's still going to get you high. It's still going to do the effects. It just looks like shit.
Cream, like a lotion that I would just apply top of.
Absolutely, it's a lotion.
Louisiana is now, you're able to now purchase flower. So before the 5,000 medical patients, now 14,000 medical patients, until this year, until today, they were only able to purchase infusions, lotions, tinctures, not smokable objects. But a dispensary in Louisiana looked pretty much like this, and you can probably understand why they only had 5,000 patients beforehand. But yeah, no, Louisiana is just now being able to get flower, and their whole state kind of treated the weed as more of a medical, a very, very, very medical, clinical thing. So there's actually a website that is able to give you the 9 dispensaries. And if we just click on, Baton Rouge, obviously very nice, very medical, extremely high end. Like this looks, everybody's got lab coats on. You're not allowed to see the inside of the facility. A little update from me to you is that I found this news article that showed that they have expanded. There are now
3 grow sites between the 2 at LSU and 1 at Southern University, has about 185 to 200 pounds of marijuana available.
There are 9 dispensaries in Louisiana. Around 28,000 people are part of the program.
And those are the numbers. So a few key things to point out. First is that 200 pounds of weed between 9 dispensaries to service 28,000 people. How does the weed get dispersed? Is it even? Their supply will be able to meet demand. First off, their output sucks and their demand is extremely high. If there's only 200 pounds to go around, 200 pounds is really fucking weird because the way we measure weed is dumb. We should just go right over to the metric system. So here is the number of eighths in the month of January. That's literally not even enough for card holders. So the first problem that they have is the supply that they have doesn't even meet the demand. They have 28,000 medical patients. They got about 25,000 eighths for the entire state. Some people aren't gonna get weed because there's a lot of stoners who don't just want an eighth. They might want a quarter, 7 grams. They might want a half ounce, 14 grams, or they might want the whole ounce of 28 grams.
Already having inventory issues now.
Is the state going to have enough supply to keep up with the perceived demand that we're about to see?
That's a negative.
But according to doctors and patients speaking out today, there's still several things that need to be worked out.
We did hear a good bit from the patients and the doctors in ways that we can and should improve the program.
As chairman of the commission, Representative Joseph Marino from Gretna wanted to know what specific barriers doctors and physicians keep running into.
Access is a big problem. Cost is a huge problem.
I think if you got more people providing it, competition would push the price down. I mean, it would almost be impossible for it not to.
There's a lack of diversity in products. The products that they did have and that was available for me was a $70 cartridge that would cost anywhere between $35 and $50 max in other state medical programs.
What the fuck? $70? If their cartridges are $70 and they think that flour is going to be cheaper, I absolutely doubt it, especially if there's not enough to go around. That's something to look forward to. You can at least purchase legal weed, say that you've done it, which is nice. It's fun. It's nice. It's a cool thing to do. Will it be shitty weed? More than likely. But hey, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, let's go on to our next piece, which is Montana is expanding and handing out licenses for their dispensaries.
We are now days away from 2022, and Montana is ready to kick off the new year on a high note with the legalization of marijuana starting on January 1st.
I get it. High note. Get it. 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 Get it?
Montana Initiative 190 passed 56-43 back in November of 2020, and that will play a big role on where you can purchase marijuana across the state. Those in what are called green counties, where a majority of residents voted to allow recreational marijuana sales, will take place. Residents of red counties will still have the ability to switch as long as they put it up to a vote.
Montana's not very populated to begin with. I would assume that the more densely populated areas are the green ones here. So these redder spots are where it's more densely populated. And then if we go back here, we check here, you'll see that more of the densely populated areas are going to have legal weed. Those densely populated areas, see? Those little pockets here and there in Montana are gonna be able to do it. And that's the end of my stun lock.
Awesome. Now, while marijuana will still be legal across the state, it is still illegal across the federal level. So that means having marijuana at Yellowstone National Park and Glacier National Park will not be allowed.
That is also a big thing, is that same with Michigan too, because we have Border Patrol. Anywhere really that has national parks can't take it into national park. State parks are okay.
That was that medical marijuana businesses will be the only ones allowed to sell for the first 18 months. After July 1st, 2023, those businesses, new businesses, will be allowed to open. Montanans will be allowed to have 2 mature plants and 2 seedlings in their home.
That is awful. Oh my God. And they're forcing that. Okay, so this is one of the worst at-home ones that I've ever seen. 2 mature plants and 2 seedling plants. So nobody making laws knows how to grow weed. Obviously, because the definition for mature plants and immature plants and seedlings are different across the entire board. That's amazing that they're allowing access for licensed retailers. I'm looking up right now. So upon further inspection, we see that they're just building on top of their existing medical businesses. which is actually pretty good. Some of these things are really nice. As you can see, their buildings and facilities are already there. They have some pretty good branding to them, and it looks like their supply is pretty tight. All in all, Montana looks very nice. However, one of the biggest problems that is going to arise, large companies primarily owned by white men owners get priority and have a little bit more leeway with things.
Only licensed medical marijuana businesses operating before November 3rd of 2020 will be allowed to sell recreational marijuana. In October, the Bozeman City Commission went along with the state rules to create a 500-foot boundary between marijuana businesses and schools and places of worship, but in doing so, they also eliminated a 20 business cap on dispensary shops in the city. So a group of 8 marijuana providers in the city actually sued the city in late November, wanting to reinstate that cap to keep their foothold on the industry.
So that's a really big problem, is that 8 dispensaries are putting a cap on how many businesses can be allowed there. This is also a good time to remind you that you should go and vote, because it's stuff like this on the extremely local level.
Half of Montana's 56 counties voted for Initiative 190, and the other half voted against it. Beaverhead County had the closest results in the state, with no winning by just 27 votes.
It should be noted that they should prioritize businesses that will be owned by Black, Indigenous people of color, people who were really affected by the war on drugs in the first place. There's also a few things about not letting the Native Americans who have spiritual status to grow the plant to be able to expand their cultivation. So Montana has a pretty high tax for their weed, and that is gonna be really good for them. They still fall into the same trench of what a lot of other markets fall into. We're more concentrated on the market growing to even help those affected by prohibition on this drug. There isn't proper help to expand that market to meet the needs of those affected by the war on drugs. And lastly, having a county opt-in and out system makes it confusing for a lot of people that live there and makes it difficult for people to purchase product, especially in Montana when there's such a low population, very large part of the state. Some people might be missing out on legal weed. But regardless if you're over 21 and in the state of Montana, you can buy and possess marijuana as long as you're not on any federal park grounds such as Yellowstone. This is everything you need to know for buying, and make sure you like and subscribe for more videos like this.